Looking for wisdom that speaks to your heart? Say hello to Rabbi Joseph Kolakowski, the Koblenzer Rebbe. Rabbi Joseph Kolakowski, the Koblenzer Rebbe, brings ancient wisdom to today's world. Each week, he dives into the Kedushas Levi, unraveling profound insights from the Parsha. Whether you're deeply versed in Torah study or just beginning your journey, Rabbi Kolakowski's teachings are accessible and inspiring. His unique approach not only sheds light on the text, but also offers practical guidance for modern life. So why not join us and discover the timeless wisdom of the Kedushas Levi? With Rabbi Kolakowski, every Parsha becomes a path to deeper understanding and personal growth. Tune in, and let the Koblenzer Rebbe illuminate your week with Torah truths that resonate. Subscribe now to stay inspired and spiritually connected.
Welcome to our channel. This week, Rabbi Kolakowski is sharing an extra bonus video of a teaching from the Kedushas Levi about Parshas Parah, which teaches fundamental ideas in Jewish theology and mysticism.
Okay, Bruchim Abayim, welcome everyone. We have a bonus video this week for Parshas Parah for the Kedushas Levi. And like I said, it's a very similar Dvar Torah as what we learned yesterday from the Noam Elimelech. In Parshas Parah, the Heilige Berditchev Rabbi of Levi Yitzchak and Sur Sashem in Berditchev Schusi and Elena Malkalisol Amen brings the following: Levoyer Masha Kosov. Let's explain that which is written in the scripture in Koheles, in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 23. It says, Amarti ech kama v'hirechoyka mimeni. King Solomon said, I wish to be wise. I seek out wisdom, and yet it is far away from me. And of this, the sages say that the wisdom that was very distant from King Solomon was to understand the precept of the red heifer, particularly the fact that it's mitame tameim and matara tahorim, mitame tahorim matahar tameim, that it renders those who are spiritually unclean clean, and those who are spiritually clean unclean. But there are other aspects of it as well. However, the truth is that there is a reason for the red heifer. As we learned from Rabbi Moses, the homilist, as it says, that the mother, which is a cow, should come and atone for her son, the calf, meaning that the purpose of the red heifer is to clean up the mess that was made by the golden calf, particularly that the people became mortals after the sin of the golden calf, and so therefore there was a need to remove the impurity of death. Ayin Sham, see there in Ramesha Darshan. V'yitzuref l'zeh divrei paitin. We add to this the words that we find in the Yotzros for Parshas Parah, Asher Devarav Heim Baruch HaKodesh, because the words of the Yotzros of the special liturgy for the special Sabbaths, it is said that they are written with divine inspiration of the Holy Spirit. Shem Latar Tameim Latami Taharim Ba'omer Kadosh. It says, as we said, that the red heifer comes to purify the impure and to defile the pure, as we say, holy, which is a formula that we find often in the Yotzros of the Kedusha, that when we say Ba'omer Kadosh, when we say Kadosh, meaning we say holy, holy, holy is Lord of hosts. Nonetheless, all of this requires explanation. What is this concept of saying, when he says holy, and we have to explain the concept of the red heifer. The Hine, behold, Noida Devrei Eliyahu Zechelotov. We know the words of Elijah, we should be remembered for good. Until Ilah al kol Eloyin v'sim al kol sasimin v'chol sasimin leis machshav v'tfisa b'chlal. In Psach Eliyahu from the Zohar, the introduction to the Tikkunei Zohar that is recited liturgically by many Kabbalists before that it says you are one but not in a number. You're above, all things are above and hidden more than anything that's hidden, and no thought can grasp you at all. That's how Elijah speaks to God in his prayer. The words of Elijah that are quoted here stand on the heights of the world. The Yesod Kol Yesodis, that's the most fundamental concept of all fundamental concepts. V'amud ha'ovdim, and it's the pillar of the worshippers. L'ha'ir as Levi Adam, to illuminate and to arouse and awaken the hearts of human beings. Lidrosh es Hashem, to seek out the Lord. Yisparach, may be blessed, the blessed Lord. B'chol libay v'nafshay, with all of one's heart and soul. V'hu al shnei drachim, and this is along two paths. Echad al iskalos elokusa yisparach al kol pratei nivroim. One is that God's godliness is revealed upon all of the details of creation. V'yitzurim anasim, everything that's formed, everything that's made, v'chol ma sheyesh ba'olam, and everything there is in the world, hakol mimenu, everything is from God. V'kol nimsa mibalado, and there's nothing that can be found without Him, other than Him, really. Ubilto, other than Him, without Him, ein shum kiyum mitzias la'echad men nivraim. Without God, there's no existence of even one aspect of the world, of any creature. As is written in the book of Nehemiah, Sefer Nehemiah, chapter 9, verse 6, and you give life to everything. We say this in our morning liturgy every day. And so from this side, we know that there is a Lord, a master of the universe, of all the universes, of the multiverse, who renews the world constantly. This is something that's being learned now in quantum physics, that every aspect of the universe really has no independent. It's not just that God set up a bunch of dominoes and let the dominoes fall. God is renewing the work of creation actively at every second. We learn this from the Tanya, where it says that we see that when there's by the crossing the Red Sea, that if the wind was taken away, the sea would return to its natural state, of which it is that liquids take the form of their container. But and so too, if the world is made yesh ma'ayin ex nihilo, something from nothing, the nature of nothing is to be nothing, and it's only because of the energy that God is investing into the universe that we still have a universe. And so this is biblical because it says you give life to everything in the present tense. It's not just that God created in the past. The creation is something that's constantly happening because God's providence and sovereignty is such that it's absolute and total. So that's, and we say in our liturgy, that God is renewing every day, constantly, the work of creation. God is renewing creation at every moment. He gives the energy for every creature in the world to live. And that's why we can refer to God in the second tense, in the second person of thou, I and thou, you. As we explained, that this is talking face to face to God, saying you, not just he, but you. As if it's something that could be understood, as if God was, that he could be understood. How do we understand God? We understand God because of the details of the created universe. By looking into creation, we can see God canal, as we said above. Therefore, when a human being contemplates this and meditates upon this, how great and mighty God is. to the point where it's impossible for the human energy and the human power to grasp God. Ka'amar ki lo yarani adam v'chai, as it says in last week's Parsha, in book of Exodus, in last week's Torah reading, the book of Exodus, chapter 36, verse 20, that the man could not see me and live, says God. The only thing is that we know that's very clear, and is that everything that exists in all the entire multiverse is all from God. And He is sustaining them. But when it comes to God's actual essence, there's no thought that can actually grasp God. And that's when God is referred to in the third person as He. When you say He, that's a hidden aspect. You're talking about someone who's not there. You're talking about someone in third person, even though God is there, but we're unable to grasp Him. So thus is the path of the world. Because when you say to someone that you're talking to face to face, you say you. That means you understand who you're talking to. But when you're speaking one who's not in front of you, then you say he or she, or it, a third person pronoun, which means something that is greater than one's intellectual understanding. And he doesn't understand him. Who? And so that's why we have the word you, second person, and he or it, the third person. This is explained in the book called Shefetal and other Kabbalistic literature, and also it's explained in the Mishnas Chasidim, that we call the endless, infinite aspect of God, he or it, the third person. Maimonides also explains this, that we know that God exists, we do not understand His essence. You could see there in Maimonides, we don't have to expand on this. So we find from all of this that we've mentioned above, that all of our worship is this archetype of the infinite aspect of God that is hidden. We don't understand Him. We only know that there's something that exists that causes everything to exist. That there's a first cause. That's the first cause that causes everything to exist, that gives life to everything, that with its tremendous energy, is infinite energy, and that comes from His attribute and the archetype of God's goodness and beneficent nature. This is the archetype of Rabbi Akiva, who the Talmud in Chagiga, page 14b, Yudalad Amud Beis, says that when he ascended into the higher realms in his meditation, he was the only one who was able to enter in peace and to leave in peace. But if someone is mistaken, and a different spirit passes over him, and if God forbid he thinks that he has some understanding of God, and some grasp of God, of his godliness, of God's godliness, Yisparach may be blessed, that's someone who could fall into heresy, that he cuts the saplings, like the story of Acher, of Rabbi Elisha ben Avuya. That that's what the words say, that there's 10 and not 11. That's someone who falls into the very depths of perdition and hell when he becomes an apostate, and a heretic, which is called cutting the saplings. Rak ikr magmasenu, but our main desire, al pi mashal, as a matter of a mashal, as a matter of a parable, but we don't actually grasp God. We only understand God through parables, as explained. V'zeu sort of Parah. This is the secret of the red heifer. She hamazeh olav tahor, that the one who has the one who is sprinkling must be pure, and the one who is sprinkled on becomes pure. But nogea tame, or actually the sprinkler and the one who sprinkled becomes pure. But nogea tame, but one who touches the ashes of the red heifer becomes impure. In Yonei, the concept is al derech mavoyer the inyan mizeh in the zeh hakol hu l'mala l'mata. And that's the concept from here to that everything is from above to below. V'zeh tahor, and that's pure. L'fisha v'dosei al yedei nister, that his worship is through the hidden aspect, she'einu mesigo kanal, that is not to be understood and not grasped, as we said above. That aspect of the third person pronoun. Aval ogeya, but if someone touches the ashes of the red heifer, that means that he imagines that he grasps some aspect of God. That means that he thinks he really understands it, and he's mistaken. That's called touching. As tame, then he is impure. That because that would cause him to fall to, as we said, to cut the saplings, meaning he falls into heresy and apostasy. And that's like the story of Acher, as we said above. And so in this aspect we understand that the reason for the red heifer is hidden. As we explained in the matter of a parable, that when the king commands to perform some deed, you don't have, like what we have now, these muchutzafim, these arrogant and brazen judges who think they can question the president, the way that they're acting, and they're not even basing anything in what's actually in the Constitution. It's just their own nonsense, just like the Rambam says about the Tzedukim, things that they just make up, that don't come from any traditions. But if someone is actually humbled and he knows you can't question a king, and you're going to ask, well, why does the king have to? What's his will with this? Rather, everything goes by his word. Whatever he says. Because that's it. He is the king. And who can come to fill his heart to think that he understands the thoughts of the king with all the concepts, and along this measure of mitzvahs. That is what our devotion and worship is in our service to God, in studying Torah and studying Scripture and the commentaries, and in performing the commandments, the precepts. Al pi dibur shel melech, we're following the word of the king. We don't have any permission to try to enter into the thoughts of the king. Rakhu amar vathi ad shelitzad bechina zu amar adani mori v'Rabbi Moreno Rav Dov Berza. Rather, he says, and it is, until we come to the level of this archetype. And this is what my master, my teacher, my Rebbe, our great master, the Rabbi Reb Dov Berzal, the Mezritcher Magid, Derech Moshel, as we say, in the sense of a parable. Asher nikra dibur bebechinas malchus. Words are this attribute, this archetype of the kingdom. Kichein humora al derech mavoyer, and so this is what's explained, and the way that it's explained. She'ein mi sheyover laharer b'machshavas hamelech. There's no one who can think after the thoughts of the king. Rak shahu amar v'nasar tzonei. Rather, the king talks and we do his will. As we said above, the parable that we said. And according to this side, that's what it says in the Yotzers, to purify the impure and to defile the pure in saying holy. That this archetype of purity, and also we explained the archetype of impurity, which is the archetype of touching. Imagining that one is grasping something that he really doesn't grasp. It's a leimer kanal mitzad b'omer kadosh, and that's what we say, as we said above, on the side of saying that he says is holy. Ki kadosh melashon hefresh, who nivdol miseichel anushi, that holy means something that's separate, that is distinct from the human intellect. Because the human intellect does not have the power to grasp this actual holiness, but rather it's according to this entire archetype that we said. And on this level, this is what King Solomon said, I say that I sought to be wise and is far away from me. Right, so it means that this archetype of wisdom, which is connected to the secret of the red heifer, is a concept of knowledge that the human brain is not able to grasp the blessed godliness of God. May His name be blessed. And according to this side, that's why King Solomon said it is far away from me. It's distant from me. That for this reason it's hidden from being able to be grasped. So therefore the main concept is only for the teaching. It's impossible for a human being to grasp this, as it says, that no thought can grasp you at all. This concept is what we're saying before about it being an atonement for the sin of the golden calf. Where did they fall into the sin of the golden calf? Well, they saw the same vision that Ezekiel saw, which included an ox as one of the divine images of the divine chariot. And so in Exodus 24:11 it says, and they saw God. Doesn't mean they actually saw God, but they saw the angelic forms. But they made a mistake that they thought that they actually grasped the essence of God. And that's why they made a golden calf. And that's what we see in Exodus 32, verse 25, that the people has become uncovered. Miloshin Goli, Shniskala Yosem Militzarech, V'chol Moisef Gareya, meaning that it became revealed more than was necessary. And sometimes the more you add, the more you take away, because you're not actually understanding what you're talking about. Ki be'emes, because the truth is, mitzad zeh bolahem shkaga, ukfira boyisbarach. Because from this they made a mistake, and thus they became heretics and denied God. And for this reason, God had to tell them to make this deed of the red heifer. This is that concept that no one can actually grasp God, that someone who touches this archetype will actually be defiled. That's why it's called a statute. Rashi explained the nation. Rashi says that the Satan and the heathens are bullying the Israelites, saying, what reason is there for this red heifer? And therefore the answer is, this is a statute that I have etched out, and you have no permission to think about it, to ask a question. This is that concept of the statute, meaning something that we don't understand. But when it says this, that is its concept of revelation. Shaltam, that it's Shaltam Adavar, that we're revealing the reason for this thing. However, we have the concept that you were not allowed to think about it. This is this essential revelation, meaning it's just following the words of the king. The God who is the life of all the universes, and the one who gives life to all that lives. From this we know we only know about God because of the creatures that exist, and we know that He's the first cause, even though He's hidden from us. However, God's ultimate essence is totally hidden from our intellect, as we said above. So therefore it's not on this level of touching, God forbid. Now, as we said above, and this is our main worship in our service. When we say the King who is alone, the God who is the life force of all the universes, Ritzalaymer means to say He is the first cause. He is the one that causes everything to exist. And He is giving His outpouring of blessing and His life force into the world. And that's from two archetypes. One is the third person archetype, which is the hidden archetype, and one is the second person archetype, which is the revealed archetype. So the Kedushas Levi said he heard from the Zlochev of Ram Chaim, Al Pi Rashi, and now in accordance with this teaching of Rashi that we mentioned above, that the Satan and the heathens are bullying the Israelites. That the whole desire of the Satan and the heathens is to prosecute the Israelites, the children of Israel. So therefore it doesn't seem to be understood. Why do you say there's no reason for the red heifer? The reason for the red heifer is because of the sin of the golden calf. That's why the Satan and the heathens want to ask the Israelites about why is there a red heifer? In order to prosecute them for the sin of the deed of the golden calf. And if we recall the sin of the golden calf, then we'll be able to to prosecute the Israelites. That's why we say this is just a statute that I have etched out. You have no permission to think about it. Because it says, these I will forget. That is a reference when it says in Isaiah that these will be forgotten. That is a reference to the sin of the golden calf. Because it will not have an eternal memory canal, as we said above. So again, somewhat similar. There's another term from the Kedushas Levi and Parshas Chukas, but very similar to what we saw. The same idea is presented here at much more at length. So thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and we'll see you later. Bezos Hashem Yisbarach. All right, how do I turn this thing off? This one?
We hope you enjoyed this content. This channel has over 5,000 videos, including Torah commentary, podcasts, footage of Jewish and historical events, and much more. We are sure you will find more videos you will enjoy. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell button, and comment. Rabbi Kolakowski often makes videos based on questions in the comment section. So you might have a video made just for you. By helping this channel grow, you are helping to spread Torah. God bless.